XRP, XLM, store of value. Seriously, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about store of value. And if you want XRP and XLM to have a chance of making some big time green in the future, I think store of value is going to be our best chance. So let's take a look at what store of value means and how it applies to XRP and XLM. Starting it off with you, Mr. Bond says obligatory support comment, of course. I said, hey, I got a 1 hour run lifting session, modalities and feet recovery session 5 weeks out. He's got legs and back today, capping off a stomach. Some of y'all got some big workout sessions. Love sharing it with you. Niver Nick drops in a 10 euro support for the channel. Thank you so much. As a late Thanksgiving gift. We don't have Thanksgiving, so I don't know the meaning. Well, I'll tell you what the meaning is. Originally, the whole idea of Thanksgiving was about pilgrims and all that and discovering the West and blah, blah, blah. But realistically, what Thanksgiving means, it's just a time to give thanks. Giving thanks to the family, friends, and, you know, being alive and all the good stuff out there. So Thanksgiving in my house, it's not commercialized. It's not about, like, discovery of continents and all that kind of stuff. Thanksgiving is a time where we put aside the things that are physical and take time to give thanks that mean things to us. Daniel Hardy also joins the channel as a member. Thank you, Daniel. All right, we're going to get into it, everyone, and it all stems from this. 389-293-912 says the thing is, if something is going to be a medium of exchange, it needs to have a stable price. If the value changes, even a microcenter and transmission books won't balance. XRP will be a stable coin, so why are you investing in something whose ideal state would be no change in value? First things first, XRP will never be a stable coin. How can it be a stable coin when it is traded globally and traded on supply and demand? Let's pretend. And then we're going to get into store of value. And I get what you're saying, medium of exchange. We're going to medium of exchange. We're actually going to store of value because I talked about store of value in this video. Now, let's pretend, okay? Let's go in the world of imagination and let's make XRP a stable price in one exchange. Let's just say one exchange at their Coinbase is like, yo, XRP, $1,000 a piece. You know what's going to happen? The next exchange out there is going to go, you know what? I want to make some profits. So I'm going to sell you XRP instead for $990. Save you $10 per XRP. Then another exchange is going to go out there and go, yo, Klaus's exchange is selling it for $990. I'm going to sell it for $800. And they're still going to make a profit. Before you know it, it equalizes out. Why? Because it's supply and demand. The only times you ever see price not kind of really flow equally like that is when you have a situation like what we saw in Australia and what we saw in Africa. And that's when specific exchanges were running into liquidity problems. Certain cryptos at those exchanges only were priced higher. Now, they weren't at a fixed price. They were priced higher because of some fiat-based issues that they were experiencing within their own country. For instance, there was an exchange in Australia that had Bitcoin like $15,000 or $20,000, almost more than what the price was. Why? Because they were having some problems with the fiat exchange there. So people were putting more money into Bitcoin instead of the fiat because there was more liquidity there. So again, you're not going to see XRP as a stablecoin. It physically cannot happen. It's supply and demand, right? Like, how does that even work? Are we going to be able to tell everyone in the world it's all set at this price? Nah, it doesn't work that way. Let's talk store of value, but first, Bitcoin sitting at 37,837 ETH, 2,086 XRP sitting at 62 cents with XLM at 12 cents. We're going to talk about both. Store of value. An asset's validity or effectiveness as a store of value depends on its stability, durability, liquidity, and transactability or acceptance within an ecosystem or society. A few common examples of items typically serving as stores of value in an economy are stable fiat currencies such as the dollar or the euro, precious metals like gold, silver, real estate, certain investment securities, and in some cases, cryptocurrencies designed to retain their value over specified or required periods. We talk about Bitcoin as a store of value. Now, is Bitcoin designed to have a specific value over time? No. But its resiliency and the fact that people are using it as a digital version of gold is creating it as a store of value. And I'll show you the chart to see exactly what I'm talking about. Store of value explained. Store of value refers to an asset or item that retains its value over time, allowing individuals to preserve their wealth or purchasing power for future use. In economic terms, a store of value is one of three functions of money, where the medium of exchange, that's what he's talking about, and the unit of account are the other two. The ability of an asset to serve as a reliable store of value is essential for economic stability and planning, as it allows individuals and businesses to save for future needs and invest with confidence. So going back to the commenter here saying, hey, even if the value changes during a microcent, the books won't balance. That's not true. XRP is using ODL, and the price changes like this all the time. It doesn't mean the books are off. You just have to add a little bit more, or someone got a little bit more on the back end. But it's easy to equalize out. It's not that the books won't make sense. You just have to top off or top down to equalize it out. It's not as crazy as you think. And honestly, this happens quite a bit. You would be surprised how often this happens. It's actually referred to as slippage. Some things have higher slippage than others. XRP, because it transacts so fast, its slippage is very minimized. Bitcoin, though, right, does not transact as fast. ETH does not transact as fast. You can have more slippage because of more time that passes. But think, most XRP transactions, right, couple seconds. Most XLM transactions, couple seconds. During those couple seconds, slippage is very, very minimal. But I do get what you're saying. Let's keep learning about this, though. Okay, store of value, they talk about housing. Now, one of the things that people are freaking out about is like, hey, XRP cannot be a store of value because its price goes down. The price isn't always going up. Yeah, but home prices don't always go up. See, homes were really, really high in the 2006s, and then in 2008, bad things happened, and home prices tanked. But homes are still considered a store of value because in the longitudinal sense of it, the value is going up, as you can see on this chart, right? Like if you look at it since 1987 to now, you're definitely on the way up. So yes, will there be some corrections in prices with homes? Yes. Does that mean it's not a store of value? No, because if you look at it over time, housing goes up. Let's keep learning here. Bitcoin is considered a store of value as a cryptocurrency. Bitcoin does not have some sort of mechanism where it says, hey, we're going to make sure we retain 90% of value over a one-year time period. No, it's nothing mechanical like that. Bitcoin is serving as digital gold, right? The reason people use gold is this, okay? And let's have a little fun, okay? I've got a silver cup right here, okay? This silver cup, if this same cup was made out of gold, it would be worth like what, like 10, 20, 30 times more? Like whatever the price difference is of gold and silver. No, way more than that. Holy crap. Sorry, 100 times more. My bad, everyone. Close like 180, 80 times, 90 times, something like that. Whatever. Okay, mental math. I just went running. My brain's dead. But think about it. You'd be able to store 90 times more value in something the same size as gold. That's why gold is preferred as a store of value over silver, because you can store it much more easily. I want you to think of someone who wanted to store $1 million, okay? If they wanted to store $1 million in gold, we could easily do it. We could fit it on the screen. They wanted to store $1 million of silver, we would be stacking that thing to the ceiling, to the roof, my good man and women. So store of value also has to deal with how easy you can store it physically. A store of value of singles, right? You wanted to store $1 million. You want to store it in singles. Yes. Will the value be there? Yeah, of course. Is it liquid? Yeah. Are you going to want to make house payments with a ton of singles? Probably not. Are you going to want to pay your car payments with singles? Probably not. So again, store of value. Now, if you wanted to store that same value in hundreds, it'd be a lot easier to store. That's like the mechanical use of it. So there's many different ways to store value. Bitcoin is the digital version of gold. That's how people, the newer generation, is looking at it. Now, Bitcoin has had some corrections, but it's still considered a store of value because you see the overall trend through this time is that it's up. Gold. Gold's another one, okay? Gold would be considered your traditional store of value. Now, for those of you watching this channel, full disclosure, you guys know I like being honest. Gold is struggling at 2,000. We've talked about it time and time again. By the way, Gold and Silver Show, check it out. Going to have another one on Monday. So gold as a store of value is an interesting one too, because gold has had massive corrections. In fact, at around 2011, gold was again rip-roaring to that 1900 mark. Only a few years later, gold was right around $1,000. But yet still considered a store of value because over time it goes up, 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 and up. Are there corrections? Of course. Just like you would notice in the housing market, just like you would notice in Bitcoin. Think of fiat. The US dollar, the strength of the dollar hasn't always gone up, has it? No, we've seen where the strength of the dollar has eroded sometimes, especially here lately with all the inflation stuff. Yet the dollar is still considered a store of value. Now, when we move on to XRP, XRP as a store of value has a lot better proposition than a lot of the other junk that I've heard out there regarding XRP and the moon theories. Okay, and that's what we're talking right now, store of value and moon theories. Now, XRP is a payment, cool, okay, but you would need a lot of payments to really start eating up that XRP as gas action, right? I mean, you really would. To put some mechanical leverage on it, you'd have to have some insane amount of transaction. But what XRP does have is that it's this. Store of value and market cap, okay? Now, the reason I bring up market cap is because I want you to think of this. What other crypto out there has been trashed by the SEC? What other crypto out there has had tons and tons of people lie about it, create fake stories, news that is meant to deceive and fool you, fake just blatant news for fun and all that, and yet after the SEC has gone after them, after everything that I just described, they're still ranked 5th in market cap. They've never slipped out of the top 10. So store of value and staying power also go hand in hand. Now, what's interesting about this, and this is where the comparison of XRP and XLM comes into play, is XLM used to be one of the biggies on the map, and their market cap has just been sliding down and down and down. So when you look at XLM as the idea of a store of value, that's not as hot of a chart as what this is. As even this, or as even this. So there are different versions of store of value, and certain store of values store their value better than others. The difference between XRP and XLM is if we look at the market cap about it, over time, XLM used to be one of the big ones up here on the screen, and now they've slid way, way, way down to 25th. So when it comes to store of value for digital assets, yeah, you've got some stable coins. I wouldn't touch USDC or USDT with a 10-foot pole, just throwing it out there. But when it comes to cryptos, you're noticing that Bitcoin is store of value. ETH is getting some love as store of value. And for those of you who want to know about Bitcoin as store of value, I want you to think about Marathon Digital. They put Bitcoin on their books to store of value. They don't hold it all in cash. MicroStrategies is another one. And Tesla. Tesla's used Dogecoin. Tesla's also used Bitcoin as store of value. So you are seeing people use cryptos as a store of value. Now, the play on cryptos as a store of value is going to need more time to mature. When I look at housing action here, okay, look at the data I got, right? We're talking from the 80s to now, gold prices, we've got a good chunk of time. But Bitcoin, it's still fairly new, okay? We're at like that 10-year mark that we just celebrated not too long ago. And in that 10-year amount of time, people have felt more comfortable with Bitcoin as a store of value than anything else. Now, as we start peeling off more and more months, years and years and years, if XRP can retain their status as a top 10 market cap, even with everything that's going on, and if they can start building up more of this positive price action so that when we zoom out maybe 10 years from its inception into the late 2020s, we might be looking at something that just has a store of value potential. Now, the store of value potential of XRP, I do believe, is stronger than that of XLM. The community of XLM is much smaller. The financial oomph of the XLM community is much smaller. And you're seeing the market cap of it is shrinking as well. There's less interest of it. So if I were to look at stores of value outside of Bitcoin and outside of ETH, I honestly got to start thinking about XRP. And the reason has to do with how resilient XRP is over time. Same thing with homes, okay? I want you to think of when we look at this home chart right here, okay? Remember when homes crashed in like 07, 08 and all that kind of stuff, right? And then the housing market kind of picked back up a few years later. That was strength. That was strength. That was it showing its store of value. That, you know what? Yeah, if you sell at the bottom, of course, you're going to lose money. But if you hold on long enough, you'll be good in the green. And I think XRP has a really good chance of making that happen. We just need a few more years to go on. And we also need the lawsuit to be over. When we look at XRP, especially through here, we know what the story is. XRP would have had a completely different story if it wouldn't have been for the SEC's action. So what did the SEC do? Essentially what they did was they delayed the store of value proposition by creating some negative pressure, which again, when we look at longitudinal things here that are store of value, we always see some corrections. Corrections are healthy, right? Just like in gold corrections, oil is a store of values movies, oil's had corrections, silver's had corrections and all that. But over time it's gone up. That's why what we need to do is pay more and more attention to see who is going to be using his XRP as a store of value on their books. The more public companies we see doing this, the better chance we have. And I think, I'm telling you, Bitcoin, if we would have had this conversation 4 or 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been talking about Bitcoin as a store of value, but now we are. There's a lot of people out there, and I read the comments regarding it, that have moved over into Bitcoin, have put more money into Bitcoin because of Bitcoin's staying power. As the alts started kind of going down and down, people were looking for safe haven places to put their money, and they used Bitcoin as a store of value to thwart it. And 5 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about like that with Bitcoin. So now I have to ask you, what are we going to be talking about in 5 years with XRP? Is the chart going to look different to where when we start talking store of value? Yeah, we get some corrections here. We get that, but that was at the inception of an industry, at the inception of gold and at the inception of housing and all that. Every market has to go through reverberations, especially at its inception, as it's trying to find its legs, as it's trying to find, oh my gosh, its regulations and its marketplace. So when it comes to store of value can decline, but over time it maintains and appreciates. Bitcoin, we're seeing that as well, over time and appreciates. XRP, in my opinion, needs more time. It needs to get the SEC case over with so that it can fulfill a store of value proposal. And one of the things I wanted to highlight with store of value has to do with stock markets and securities. There's going to be people out there that say, you know what, stocks are a horrible place to put your money as a store of value. Now, I would say just the opposite. I would say, if you're in some blue chip action right there, you'd be doing pretty good over time as a store of value. So it's all about where you place your money, what your expectations are, and what your time frame expectations are. I want you to think of El Salvador. El Salvador's got some massive problems with inflation, but yet they have now started putting more and more value into Bitcoin, which means as their inflation has some issues, they can fight that inflation with their store of value in their Bitcoin play. Now, XRP, yes, has SEC action, and I think that's the biggest thing right now, preventing XRP from becoming a more common store of value play. In fact, I would even take this a step further, and I would say, you know what? I bet you some of you out there are already using XRP as a store of value, thinking of it as you would be like, you know what? I've got cash. I'm going to look to park it somewhere for a really long time, somewhere where I can store my value and get some appreciation out of it. And I bet you a lot of you are already doing that without even knowing it. The big change and the big difference will be when companies like Microsoft, like Marathon Digital, like Tesla and all that start publicly using XRP as a store of value. The reason I think they're going to start switching over to XRP as a store of value, or not just switching over, but also including XRP as a store of value, you're going to need diversification. Because when it comes to true store of value, you don't put your eggs all in one basket. I talked to you about gold, silver, housing, digital commodities. Those are all different stores of value. For myself, some of my store of value is in my home. Some of it's gold, some of it's silver, some of it's jewelry, some of it's land, some of it's vehicles. I'm not going to talk about the vehicles because that's a special case. It just depends on what kind of vehicles. But the point is that there's many different ways. And when you get to store of value, you want to diversify. Because what happens if you did put all your money into housing and we are in 08? Then a bunch of your store of value would not have been as strong for a while. So we're going to see people diversifying. And since crypto is globally traded, and since we're already starting to see Bitcoin accepted as a store of value and ETH accepted as a store of value, where even a few years ago, there's no way in hell we would have talked about Bitcoin or ETH as a store of value. Now we might start seeing some of the alts play as store of value. And I don't think there's any other alt out there like XRP that has been run through the mud, that has just been trashed nonstop, that I could go on CNBC, I could go on Squawk Box, I can go on all, and they guarantee Gasparino or one of them is going to rip on XRP, right? I mean, like, that's just the case. But yet they're still top 10 in market cap. They're still relevant, and that's what we need to pay attention to. Can XRP keep its relevance and keep building on the price action that we've seen throughout this year and keep working on up through the long term? Because as more people start looking at it as a store of value, especially getting in this price now, right? For people getting in at the price now and thinking way long term, that store of value play could be very, very juicy. But just remember though, if you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket falls, all your eggs break. For everyone that put all their money into housing, and then when '08 happened, they got washed, didn't they? So it's not advice, but I think it's a pretty safe thing that if you're looking for a store of value play, you should diversify. And I thinking is that what's going to happen is that more and more people are going to diversify to digital assets. And XRP could be one of those digital assets. Now, what am I doing today? Well, I already ran 7 miles. It was nice and easy. Now I got to lift, and then I got to do some modality work. I got a 6-hour ultra that I'm training for, and it's only 5 weeks away, and my legs are feeling great. I'm going to have over 50 miles logged here in the last 6 days. Isn't that nuts? Yeah, I'm right about 50 miles last 6 days. So legs are feeling strong. I'm feeling good. How are you feeling? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you cool cats later.